So, I watched English Language Arts this morning, and you said that was your toughest class. And you have 12 very lovely children in there, sitting in nice rows. What would you say was some of your successes from this morning? Some things you felt successful about?
We got, I'm not sure.
Okay. What do you feel are your biggest challenges in there?
The classroom management.
The management piece.
Yeah.
Pen's not working. There we go. And what specifically of the classroom management or their behaviors are you finding the most challenging at this moment?
Well, I've got like half the class that are being invited to join PIP because that is part of their disability, I guess. So blurting out is really hard for them not to blurt things out. And when they're challenged or I guess if they're put in a challenging position that they want to argue.
Yeah. I'm gonna have you speak up just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. I don't know how well it picks up. So, so the blurting out
and arguing. When they're confronted.
Yeah. So, one of the things. So I took some notes this morning, and there's page 1. So, one of the things I started marking their outbursts, and not only their outbursts towards each other, and their outbursts towards you, or just outbursting in class. And this was just during the silent reading time. So it was 23 times, and I know I missed some. So does that number surprise you? No. So is that pretty much what you see as the norm? Mm-hmm. Is about that much. And so so class started at 10, and students came in between 10 and 10:05, and then that time is used for silent reading, silent AR reading, yes, and snacks, yes, and some had study carols that yes, you put around them, and it was about a 15-minute period of time. How productive did you feel that time was?
Yeah, I would say for some of the kids it was productive, but for the majority it was not.
Okay. And for the ones that it is productive for, do you feel like they're getting their full productivity out of that time because of the noise in the class?
Distraction? Probably not.
Okay. So, so thinking about that time, what do you feel? So here's a couple of things that I just jotted down, things I saw. So you said keep your hands to yourself to one student. I wasn't sure who that was, but it was something you saw, and you told them to keep their hands to themselves. This was a comment that I actually heard the student give to another student in the back of the room, and then you went and you were standing next to that student, and he stopped talking. Then when he went to get a drink of water, even though he's in the back of the room, cutting through, yes, the middle. So, and you told him that he needed to go around. And then one student was keeping the carol on their head. and then you asked, do you guys want a working lunch? And their reply was, well, you have to go to the high school. So with the working lunch, how effective has that been as a deterrent?
The day that I have it, which is Wednesdays, it's a great deterrent.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, but any other day, not so much.
Yeah.
So it's really just working on that one day.
Yeah.
Okay. So just thinking about this first period, this first block of time, what are some thoughts as to how you would like to reduce the number of outbursts and distractions during that time?
I'm open to suggestions because I've tried different grouping, different settings, and it's just difficult.
So have you noticed that the snack part has been a huge
issue
with
Okay.
them during that time.
Uh-huh.
Because one of the things I noticed was that a lot of these outbursts and blurting was about
Snacks.
giving the snack or
Okay.
sharing the snack or those type of things. And they're all sixth graders, so they eat breakfast and they do eat lunch kind of early. They eat at like 11:30, 11:40. So that could become a privilege
Okay.
for them, and they've lost that privilege.
Okay.
And until that time becomes what your expectation is of that time, then they can earn the right to have snacks back.
Okay.
But it's not a right. They don't have to have snacks during that time legally. And so that's a privilege that they've had. But if it's a deterrent and is keeping them from the goal, which is actually reading, then that may be something that they need to, get back.
Okay.
A privilege they need to get back.
Okay.
So, in thinking about that, what are your specific expectations that you have for them during that 15-minute period of time?
What I'd like to see them do is actually use it to do AR reading. I would like to see 30 minutes, but we usually do 15 to 20 minutes
Mhm.
of AR reading, and then if they need to take a test, get a test in there.
Okay.
So that's
All right.
strictly for AR.
So AR reading, okay, but what are your behavioral expectations for them during that time?
To sit and read independently without
Okay.
interrupting.
So it's an absolute silence.
Yeah.
Absolute silence.
Mm-hmm.
Are they allowed to leave their seat?
The way we've done in the past is if they don't need to ask to go get a drink of water, they can
Mhm.
go get a drink of water because we find it's less disruptive if they just
Mhm.
do that. And we have a sign-out sheet in the back that they can go to the restroom, but they're only allowed to go
One person at a time?
one person at a time,
Mhm.
and no more than 3 times a day.
Okay. So,
But I could say during this time frame,
Yeah.
restroom, no.
because they just came back from recess,
Mm-hmm.
so they should have, unless there's a medical condition that, I do know that there's been a couple of times in the past where some of the girls have had medical issues for a couple of weeks at a time,
Yeah.
But, other than a medical issue, they should be able to leave and come back from recess and do 15 minutes without leaving the classroom or even without leaving their seat. And if you're really looking for a 30-minute time, it could be during that first 15 minutes that you're not allowed to leave your seat at all for any reason. Then if you want to take a test, it could be during that second 15 minutes and you actually have some sort of a sign or, a card that they put up on their carrel or that they put out on their desk that shows that they're ready for a test. And unfortunately, it's kind of going back to the strictness of third grade, but the structure that these particular students need, that may be what's most appropriate for them.
Okay.
And so that way, they're not able to get up on their own and just go take a test. You have like a little card
Okay.
that says, I'm ready to take a test. They put it out on their desk, and you're circulating during that entire time. You did that, and I really noticed the difference when you were next to a student versus up in the front. Your proximity control does work with these kids, with this group of kids, and it's going to be a very difficult transition for them because they've lost a lot of privileges. But consistency is really going to be the key to reining them back in during that time. And if I would just start with that, that first half an hour, getting that, solid, exactly the way you want it, and really laying out what your expectations are for them. Putting it on a poster, having it in the room. That this is what silent time looks like. You can even do pictures. We talked about picture rubrics before, and take a picture of them when they're doing what they're regularly doing, and then say, okay, these are my expectations. Show me what that looks like, and take a picture of it, and actually have those 2 pictures on the board as a visual aid for exactly what your expectations are for them during that time, and then you're going to have to be hard-nosed with them on it, and just really consistent with them, because letting them know they can earn back the privilege of having snack again. They can earn getting drinks of water. They can earn those things back when they show that they're responsible enough to do that. But right now, the amount of time when they were actually reading during that 15 minutes, how much time would you say that they probably actually got?
Maybe 3 to 5.
Yeah, and some of them not at all.
Right.
Some of them didn't even open their book. So for that first piece, that may be helpful. You're really taking them back to that real strict, but letting them know these are my expectations, and practicing those expectations. It may be that they're not reading tomorrow at all. They're practicing coming in. They're practicing opening their book. They're practicing putting the card out. They're practicing all of those things. You're taking pictures, but you're actually having them. You're modeling and practicing your expectations, realizing that no reading may happen tomorrow.
Okay.
But
that's fine. Okay.
So transition time. The transition time to your next activity. I went ahead and timed it, and it was 3.5 minutes for them to clean off their desks. And then it was actually 5 minutes until actual start time. So
more blurting out, more non-compliance.
Yeah, and even then, even when you started, there was 3 students that were still cleaning their desks. Not every student was in that ready position to learn. So when you want their desks clean and you're ready to begin a lesson, what are your expectations for how they should be looking and sitting?
Ideally, I'd like to set the timer for a 1-minute transition, and then the desks are clean and they turn around and they're looking at me.
Okay. Have you practiced that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I did that.
At the beginning of the year?
Yes.
Have you practiced it within the past couple of weeks?
No.
Okay. So you've already set up your expectation with them. So going back to those expectations, and anytime that you're not at that, they're not meeting that expectation, going back and rehearsing it again would be the next piece.
Okay.
So, hi.
Hi. I'd like to give these to you so you can give into your directed studies.
Fantastic. Thank you.
No problem.
Awesome.
And then, do you have those expectations written anywhere for them?
Yes, we have a procedure book.
Okay.
That we have.
Okay.
I kind of adopted it from Mrs. Mahan and have Lina
Okay. So where do they have those?
in their desk.
In their desks. Okay. So maybe bringing those back out
Okay.
and going through them again and practicing them again.
Our classroom procedures.
Yeah. And it may be that not all this is going to happen in one day,
Mm-hmm.
but anytime that they're not meeting your expectation, go back to what that expectation is
Okay.
and just require it of them. Because, so like with, there was one student, with the one girl that was in the back, you asked her to return to her seat. She never did. She just stayed with her partner. So when you give her that expectation, how can you ensure that she actually does what she's requested to do.
Yeah. Because